Hey mamas, and welcome to the Entering Motherhood podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Marie Bilger, a wife, mom of two, VBAC mama, and doula. Here we integrate holistic mindfulness and evidence-based practices to support you on your unique motherhood journey. Whether you're trying to conceive, pregnant, newly postpartum, or supporting mamas in this stage of life, you'll feel empowered and informed as you embrace what lies ahead. Join us every episode to learn from professionals, special guests, and moms just like you, ensuring that you know what you need to know and discover things that you didn't know before. I believe in you. Let's doula this and let's navigate the transition of entering motherhood together. Hey mamas, and welcome to another episode of Entering Motherhood. I am so excited to be back and releasing these episodes. This episode specifically was actually recorded almost a year ago with Mariela, and her podcast name has actually changed from Mama Wears Leisure to now it is the new Mom Talk podcast. So you'll be able to find it there. But what's really cool is all of the things that we talk about are still so relevant and still so important in this motherhood journey. And it just goes to show you that although things change, there is still that underlining sense of finding that community, finding people to support you, and finding out what works best for you and your family in the moment. And I love that this information is just still so relevant and you are going to get so much from it. And so I know that you're going to enjoy this episode. I'm so glad to be back releasing these guest episodes. And with that, let's get this episode started. Hello, and welcome to Entering Motherhood. I'm so excited to have you here today and get this conversation started. So how about you go ahead and introduce yourself for the listeners?
Hi. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. My name is Mariela De Santiago. I am the host and creator of the Mama Wears Leisure podcast, which is a podcast designed to be a resource for parents about all of the different topics that we Google while our baby is sleeping and we should be napping, but we don't because, mom brain and the list goes on, right? And I'm also the host and event planner for a mom group called Carlsbad Mom Walk. So if you're in San Diego County, look me up. But my first and main job is a stay-at-home mom. And I became that after obviously having a baby because my husband said no to me being a stay-at-home dog mom. So
darn.
I know. I tried. I negotiated and he just was not having it.
That's too funny. So how old is your son?
I'm going to cry. He's going to be 2 on Saturday. So I know it's just like, how do they go from literally being these tiny little things that like take all of this energy? Well, they still take energy, but they take all of your sleep and this energy and this, but they make you so happy to now they're like toddlers so fast, right? It's like a blink of an eye in every stage. My cousin just had a baby and I was telling her, it's so hard to really recall that first year. And I think it's because you are so sleep deprived and that year goes by so fast because they change so fast.
Yeah.
It's a blur.
Yeah.
But yeah,
they're
so I'm enjoying
rapidly
this.
growing. You're adjusting to everything. It's like a lot just coming at you and a lot of just, like all of a sudden you get into some sort of routine and then it changes because they change.
Yeah. And then you start learning like, wait, well, why aren't they sleeping? So I used this app called the Wonder Weeks that just kind of helped me better understand like when he was going to be having a difficult time. And that really helped me from like a mental standpoint to prepare and adjust instead of like, what am I doing wrong? Why is he waking up all of a sudden? So it kind of helps you from taking all of these questions that you are always asking yourself because they can't communicate aside from crying. Better understand.
Yeah, we used that one too. And it was really helpful because when they were going through a leap, it was like, okay, like this sort of like off schedule attitude is reasonable. It's expected. Like it gives you like okay, I'm not doing anything wrong. Like it's just they're going through a leap and it's just going to pass and it's going to, be an adjustment for all of us, but you're not doing anything wrong during those times. It's just they're changing, you're changing. It's a lot going on.
Yeah, and that's the one app that I tell people, any new moms to get. I'm like, you don't need to really use it in the sense of every single day, but it is just so useful to better understand. And it's totally been updated. I was just looking at it the other day. I'm like, what? This wasn't here when I was using
Oh,
it.
nice. Yeah. Yeah, to have like more stuff in there. I know. I think, yeah, apps are always like really helpful and like talking with other friends and moms and stuff. And then, of course, like listening to podcasts and things. But like Google can kind of throw you down that rabbit hole.
Yes. And then you find all of this information that you find conflicting information. You have no idea if they're credible resources. You don't know what the journalist writing that story's background is. So it's really hard to navigate. Like, what should I be following? Even when it comes to feeding baby, like, should I be doing baby led weaning or should I be doing Perry's? But why? So crazy, but it's hard as a mom to not Google because you have no idea.
Yeah. So when did you start all your groups? Like, what was it like those, like when you got pregnant and those initial, months postpartum? Like, what was your journey like?
So when we became pregnant, it was total surprise and loved it. It's great. The first initial months, I would say actually it was a transition. And I think a lot of moms go through this where you might be the first one out of your friend groups to get pregnant. And so when that happens, your relationships or your friendships start to change. And that kind of was happening to me where I felt like I was being excluded. I wasn't being invited to things because, well, she's pregnant. She can't drink. Oh, she won't want to come because she's going to be tired. So it was a challenge with that. I definitely went on Peanut, which I call your online dating for moms, right? Just trying to find your mom friends. And I found some great friends on there that I still keep in touch with today. And then once we had my son, just that postpartum part, I really wish that I would have been better about letting go and accepting the help that I had available to me. Very lucky that I have my mother-in-law, and she came to help. I had a C-section, but as somebody that's very independent and has always had to do everything for themselves, it was so hard to just say, "Hey, can you cook dinner? Get comfortable with the kitchen. Why don't you make some soup for us?" We're vegan, so nothing that has any animal products. I couldn't do that. I was like in there trying to squat because I didn't want to hinge because that would have hurt. Just all of these things. And then I tell my husband now, I'm like, I wish I knew what a doula was because I had no idea. And a postpartum doula, especially, I would have loved to have a postpartum doula where you literally don't feel obligated to help. You are paying them to help you.
Yeah, exactly. That's like one thing that I love about doula work and really being able to step into that family's, space and help them. And like you said, like they're paying you to do this stuff. So like it's really not, you don't feel like as guilty or like, oh, like you don't have to do that or like you get to tell them like I would like this done or this is like how we're kind of like on this schedule or like we're feeding like this or like can you help me with laundry, like you're literally like giving them tasks to do because that's what they're there to do.
Yeah, you're not there to visit with them. You should be using that time that they're there for you to sleep and just give them the tasks like do my laundry, make me food. There's just so many things that you don't realize as a first-time parent that you really need. And I think that we as women, a lot of us tend to be like, we got it. We can do this. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. But when you're sleep deprived, you're not fine because you literally are running on like 2 hour naps. You can't even call it sleep. You're literally taking power naps. And my cousin just had a baby. And so we were visiting with her to help her out. And she was trying to host. And finally, I had to be like, I love you. I want to spend so much time with you, but I really don't want to see you right now. I want you to go into that room and put your head on that pillow. I don't care if you fall asleep or not. Just don't come out for 30 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes it's like you need somebody to do that for you, or you need somebody to just say, like, hey, like, what do you need? Like, how can I help you? And not just like expect to be hosted or, like care like you're not a a guest when you're walking into somebody's house that just had a baby. Like you are like a person that should be there to help them. Not
Yes.
like, that person shouldn't feel like they need to get you a glass of water, do something for you. Like,
And I think holding the baby is so helpful. But if you are coming to visit and meet the baby, like do something, give them ideas so that they don't say, oh, I'm okay. Oh, no, you don't need to do that. Say, can I unload the dishwasher for you? Can I throw a load of laundry in for you before I hold the baby? And that way I can put it in the dryer when I leave. Provide suggestions that are very, very small, but actually take up so much of a new parent's time.
yeah, exactly. So what did you find, like you said, like you wish you would have had a doula? Like what did you find, I guess, like one of the biggest struggles postpartum, or something that like you felt was not what you expected?
So I will definitely say, well, one, the cooking. It was really hard to navigate and find time to cook. So I had a few casseroles I had made in advance, and that was fine. That's really hard. And actually being on a schedule, I think it's impossible to be on a schedule with a newborn because they're not on a schedule. And then also just learning to be a mom. I think that was the biggest struggle because I didn't know what to expect. There's so many books, and we listened to a few books about just data driven information during pregnancy and then postpartum, but I didn't really know what to expect. So I was honestly, I kid you not when I say I was on Google all the time. I was on Google every time he was napping, trying to figure out like, when do I start feeding him solids? Why do I do baby led weaning? Why do I do purees? What about like tummy time? Am I doing enough tummy time? Is he not going to be able to crawl? Should I be worried? There's just so many questions that run through your head because you're preparing for this entire year. And it was just so overwhelming. And that is when I decided that I wanted to start a podcast to bring experts on to just talk about these questions that I was Googling that I could have not been the only person doing. I'm sure so many moms are doing it. So that was kind of like the fire for me. And being a stay at home mom, it was an adjustment. I wanted to be a stay at home mom because I loved spending time with my son. But at the same time, it's very exhausting when I call him my boss. He never gives me a break, maybe for his naps, but even during naps, I'm doing the work that I wouldn't be able to do with him awake. So those are some of the things that just really, I guess, kind of helped me learn to be a mom was because I was talking to experts about stuff that I was Googling. So it's kind of like hitting two birds with one stone. But yes, the doula. So if you can afford a doula, if your insurance provide you a doula, I highly, highly recommend it. Prenatal, postpartum. If you have help, be very clear with what you need them to do. Don't try to host. Tell them to get their own glass of water. Tell them to get comfortable with the kitchen. I wish I'd done that. I did not do that. And finding time to do something for yourself, I think that also really helped me. It was hard because you can't really move, but it was nice to just go outside and go for a very slow walk, just a quarter mile, just to get out into the fresh air. The sun was shining, move a little, and not feel like you're just at home. And it can be so depressing in a way if you don't ever leave the house, right? You're taking care of a little human, but you got to get outside and you got to get some fresh air and just get the sun in your face.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's something to that. And I feel like I've seen moms kind of go like one extreme or the other. Like they're like, I'm so ready to like get out and do all these things. And they like push themselves to like go out week one and go to all the places and try to do all the things that like they used to be able to do. And then there's like the other extreme too of like, oh, I'm just gonna stay inside and like not do anything, and I'm gonna like stay in my bed and like just be with baby and things like that. And it's like there's like good sides and bad sides to both of those extremes. Like, yes, you need to rest, but like also you need to, yeah, like get outside or like see adults or just feel like yourself a little bit in a way. But it is different because you have a baby. So there's a balance, and I think it's like unique for everybody and like really figuring out what that looks like.
Yeah. And obviously, it's going to be very dependent on how much you can move based off of your delivery and your recovery. So you have to go at your own pace. Like I said, for me, it was literally maybe a quarter mile. It wasn't even just around a few houses in my neighborhood, but that made me feel more human. Like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I feel like I just conquered the day. Don't feel guilty about watching TV. I loved that. I think that was also one of my favorite things was like I watched so much trash TV and it was amazing. Baby's nursing and you're like, I'm gonna watch The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. Or right now I'm totally into Love is Blind. Like there's so many great trash TV episodes. Watch them all, soak them in because you won't have any time afterwards, right? So there's all of that. And one of the biggest challenges is figuring out this new life and dynamic between you and your partner and how you guys are both adjusting, especially while you recover and your partner likely goes back to work unless they're taking paternity leave at the same time. That's a big, complicated part of parenting that we don't think about until you're in it. So, taking time to just chat, like, how can they help you, especially while you're recovering, right? Like, you're so vulnerable. You just went through a very vulnerable time that and having this baby. So you're gonna need their help. Like for me, it was like I never thought I would say this, but I really need you to just push me by placing your hands on my back to get me out of bed because it was the only way I could get out of bed.
Yeah, I remember. So with our daughter, my husband only got, I think, like a week off. It felt like a really short amount of time because we were in the hospital for so many days. And then by the time we came home, I felt like he was like already going back to work. And then with our son, he got 2 weeks off, but then he was kind of like hanging out in the bedroom with me and like laying in bed. And he's like, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm so bored. And I was like, go do whatever you want. I was like, be here for me. Like, if like you hear that I'm like having a hard time or like baby's really crying or like I need a nap or like I can't get out of bed, like whatever it might be, like be here to help. But you don't have to literally just be like sitting there next to me and like
Yeah.
waiting for something to happen. I think it's like sometimes it's like partners don't really know where they fit into the equation because like I was breastfeeding with both of our babies. So it was kind of like, okay, like I can't feed. So like, am I just, going to do all the diaper changes or like, what should I do? And it's like, there's not too much to do when they're that like itty bitty, but like if I'm feeding the baby, feed me, like I always said, like he could always bring me a meal or like refill my water bottle or like see if there was any like supplies like near the bed or in the bathroom that like needed to be replenished. And I think talking about that stuff beforehand is also super helpful and like saying like, hey, like these are some things that I might need or this is some things that like might be helpful and like including them in on that process because I think a lot of times like partners just don't know what their role is or like how they should help.
Yeah. And there are so many house chores that kind of take a back seat, right? Like your house is so messy because you just don't have the energy or the time to clean when you should really just be napping. But there's always the laundry. The laundry is never ending. There's, yeah, the amount of diapers that they go through. But just being able to talk about that new dynamic of like how things are going to work or even grocery shopping, like that is such a task when you just had a baby, like especially if you had a C-section because you can't drive. So you are very, very dependent on your partner to do all the driving, which means if they're working all day and they can't do that until after work, then maybe trying to figure out an alternative so that you guys can make the best of your time. If that is a place in your financial situation where you can say, yeah, you know what, I'm going to pay the additional fees just to have the groceries delivered or do Target drive up or whatever, but save time wherever you can, however you can. Take advantage of these post COVID services that still exist because as a mom, I don't think that you realize, like, wow, like having drive up really is so cool as a mom because it didn't exist before COVID.
Yeah, I think it's like all those conveniences that like you don't really think about or you don't really like utilize until you are a mom or you are a parent and there's like, a baby sleeping in the back of your car. So like it's harder to like get in and out of stores. Like now when I go somewhere and I'm just by myself, it's the weirdest feeling like being able to just like stop the car, go into a store, quickly grab something and come right back out. And it's like you're not having to, even just one baby, like one child, like to get them like out of the car and like into the store and then, navigate around the store and things like that. Like you don't realize like simple little things like going like in and out of a store could be just a new level of like complexity.
Yeah. I mean, just even parking, like if you're parking and you need to get the car seat out, well, you need to park somewhere where you know that you're going to be able to get the car seat out. Cause what if somebody parks really close to you and now you can't get the car seat in?
Mm-hmm.
So many things that you don't think about. So I would just park as far away as I could. And it was nice to just get the additional steps, but there are so many little things that you have to think about. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, just pulling into the parking lot is going to take me a lot longer, and getting the baby out and the stroller out or putting them on in the baby carrier. Everything takes so much more time now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
conveniences, if you can justify it financially, do it or find the ones that will be the best for you.
Yeah. What have you found with the in-person groups and everything that you've been doing with moms where you live to be like, I guess, like, what's most of the moms like saying, or like, how are they benefiting from that? And like, what are they enjoying the most?
So I've had many moms show up that are expecting that are first time moms, right? So they might be first ones in their friend group that are having a baby. Therefore, they don't have any other mom friends. So they're trying to come and meet other moms that are in that same place. Moms love being able to get together and have a play date where like you're kind of learning off of one another. You can share information right from what has helped with sleep training or not sleep training to what bottles work for you or all of these little things that you always go through as a parent would if you're a mom from like discovering, oh well, my son figured out how to get his milk out of that bottle, so I guess now we're going to have to move on to a different one. Getting just input from other moms, that has been really helpful. But moms just love having a place to go where it's not just them and their little ones, where they can actually engage in an adult conversation while their kids play. And they may not always be playing together, or they might have to like be interrupted to run after their child, but ultimately you're able to have conversations with other moms that are in that same or similar space as you. So they love the community. They love that they're able to learn and get information about services or products that they probably otherwise wouldn't have known, and love being able to make new friends.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's so great. And I think, like having that community and like if maybe you're listening to this and you don't have something like that around you, getting started and doing something like that, I think is super beneficial too. And even if it's just kind of like you said, like in a Facebook group or messaging people or like just getting something started to have that adult interaction while you're also simultaneously like with your kids, I think can be like super beneficial.
And other moms understand what you are going through. So if you are one of the first ones out of your friend groups, really making those other connections is so, so nice because you can go for a walk with somebody else who has an infant similar age. Or if they're now both crawling, you can go somewhere where you guys have the space to let them both crawl around. Starting one, and it's super easy, right? You could just go onto Instagram, create handle. Moms look for that. They will find you. You just need to create it if you don't have it.
So, if you were looking back 2 years now, or like kind of wanting to give yourself advice, like your old self advice, like what would be something that you would kind of like say, or something that you wish you would have known beforehand when you were first entering motherhood?
One, I would have done my research on what a doula was, and I'm not a doula, so I that would be the very first thing. I think next time around, we would definitely get a postpartum doula. And two, when somebody says that they're going to come help me, I'm going to be very clear on how that help would be supportive to me. So instead of me being in the kitchen while they cook, I'm going to say, familiarize yourself with the kitchen. Here are some meals. I've already placed the grocery order, so you don't need to go do it. So it would make it as easy as possible for both of us to have that outcome that we need.
I think like setting up like a plan and like really figuring out like what you need help with and how you can get that help is and asking for the help is super beneficial.
Yeah. And don't be afraid to be very clear on how that help is going to be for you, what you need it to be for you.
Do you have any other like words of wisdom or like pieces of advice or anything like you love telling new moms?
So I think one big piece of advice is definitely set the boundaries now that you're a parent. Your lifestyle is going to change. You're going to figure that out as baby changes, but be okay with setting boundaries. If you need to say no to friends and family, say no. And if they push back, remember that your priority is your family and you no longer are in a space to accommodate extended family or friends if it doesn't work for you. In the end, you are going to be in a much better space mentally and in your family dynamic if you're able to set those very clear boundaries and you and your partner are on the same page with that. It's hard at first. I know it. I went through it and it's quite an adjustment. But once you have those boundaries set, people know, okay, well, no means no, or this is when it works for them.
Do you have maybe like a sub piece of advice of that of like how to set a boundary or like an example of a boundary that you set that you were really like adamant about and happy that you did?
Yeah. So for us, we decided that we could no longer do dinners with friends or family. And we used to be very accommodating. We used to be very accommodating with everyone else's schedule because we didn't have kids. So if somebody wanted to meet at 12:30, sure, we're fine. If somebody wants to meet up at 8:30, that works for us. Well, now both of those times are when my son needs to be sleeping. So that's not going to work. So what I just say is, hey, we can no longer meet at that time. Here are the times that work for us. Let us know where we can fit you in and just be very clear on the alternatives so that you're not just shutting it down, but you're trying to find a compromise. Like, I can't meet at 7 p.m. for dinner, but I can meet you between 3 and 5 before my son's bedtime. Or I can't go to your house for dinner, but you are welcome to come over to our house and have dinner with us. Just know that our bedtime routine starts at 6:30 and it requires both of us to get him ready for bedtime. So if you're able to find a compromise, but be very, very clear on what your boundaries or your changes are going to look like in order for that to be okay for them.
Yeah, no, yeah. And I think like schedules are really important in those first like few months, first year, and really kind of like instilling that because it's good for baby. It's good for you to like have those set boundaries. Like I remember like we would try to, okay, yeah, like bedtime's at 7, but like I guess we could stay out a little bit later. And then it's just like this whole like ripple effect of like now like our daughter wouldn't go down or she was thrown off and like the bedtime routine is all different and it's just kind of like you have to weigh out those like pros and cons of like okay like there are some exceptions like maybe like there's a different occasion or something that like you really want to go to but for the most part it's like look like I can't do that anymore because like we're on a set schedule and like being able to unapologetically like lay down those lines and say like this is our schedule, this is what we're doing and it is what it is.
Yeah. And that's why making those great connections with other new mom friends that are in that same page, they're going to totally understand. And you guys will likely have a very similar schedule. So find those great friends that you can do that with. So, and the other thing is, all of this is just a stage. They're going to outgrow it. They're eventually no longer going to have naps. And you're going to miss those naps. Their bedtime is going to be later. And eventually there's going to be a time when they are like, you know what, mom, I really just don't want to hang out with you, which I really hope that that never happens with my son. I keep trying to ingrain in his head, I'm your best friend, okay?
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
everything is a stage and you'll adjust, you'll get used to it, but find what works for you and say no because
Yeah.
in the end, it's your family dynamic and what's going to work for your immediate family, not your extended family and friends.
Yeah. Yeah. I completely agree. And I think it's finding that routine and finding what works for you and really kind of adjusting and learning with it all.
Yeah, what you do. There's a lot of learning all the time.
So where can we find you? Where can we get in contact with you? Where do you hang out on social media? Give us all the details.
So if you are a new mom or really any time during the first initial birth to toddlerhood, my podcast is Mama Wears Athleisure. So you could find me on Instagram at Mama, MAMA, Wears Athleisure. If you're in San Diego County or South Orange County, you can find me at Carlsbad Mom Walks. So I do a bunch of events in North County, San Diego. You can also find me on my website and get all of the info on there. And that's www.mamawearsathleisure.com. That's MAMA. So many ways to spell it, huh?
Yeah. 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 I always use the MAMA too. But yeah, there's so many or variations of mom too.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, thank you. This is awesome. And I hope if any listeners ever want to come on my show, also reach out. So open to that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been great. I know we recorded an episode on your podcast that I was a guest on, and now we're doing the reverse. So, go over and listen to your podcast and find me on there, and then you're on here. And so it's always good connecting with other mom podcasters. And I absolutely love that more moms are doing this and more conversations are always being had.
Yeah, because it's such a different time in your life, and you're becoming this person that you don't even know that you were going to be.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, mamas, so much for listening. Remember, you are a rock star. I believe in you. Let's doula this. Let's crank it up a notch and let's kick it into high gear together. Hit that subscribe button, share this episode with a friend, message me, email me, call me, beat me. You know how to reach me. We're doing this, mamas. I am so excited to catch you here next week. This is your one-stop go-to place for helping you find the resources you need to make the best choices for you and your family during pregnancy, birth, and most importantly, postpartum. See you later, mamas.